push clients into buying homes they can't afford.
I would imagine
Like
sometimes.
millennial and Gen Zs are at a disadvantage when buying homes. Your bank
Well, you know
account,
people that go shopping and they just have their credit card and they swipe it till it gets declined, right?
Right.
There's no commitment or anything.
Exactly.
We're just
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
my first ever episode on this podcast. Tell us a little bit more about you. What do you do? And
Yeah. I'm a mortgage loan officer. I've been in the business since 2010.
Okay.
And since 2019, I've been what we call self-gen, which means like you guys, I have to go out and find my own business because there's no such thing as free leads in the real estate world. So
For sure.
I've been doing it for a long time. I really enjoy it, helping people get into homes and become homeowners. There's really nothing like it because you see the impact that has generationally.
Yeah.
And so if you can help a first generation home buyer get into a house, like
It's a huge.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like the energy that you can feel in the room at closing when someone has tears in their eyes because they're a first time home buyer.
Yeah.
And their parents didn't own a home, it's incredible.
For
And
sure.
in fact, the guy that owns the company that I work for right now, his dad was the first generation to own a home.
Oh, wow.
And so it kind of runs through not just me, but through Provisor, the company that I'm with. It's really an interesting career because it's not something that I knew I was getting into when I signed up for it. And you just kind of learn like, wow, you can really have an impact on people.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely agree to that. Ben, tell us a little bit more about your family. Like, how did you get into this career and how does your family support you?
Yeah, well, my wife is a saint. I don't know how she does it. We have 3 kids. They're 5, 4, and 1, and
Oh,
she
wow.
stays home full time. And thank God she's pretty realistic about what the industry requires because the nature of mortgage lending is when you're working, I need to be available because if you're showing a client a house on a Saturday afternoon and they're like, Krina, we love it. We want to write an offer. And you're like, well, send me your pre-approval letter. And they have like a pre-qual letter from a big bank. Like you're not going to get your offer in.
Yeah.
So I need to be available in those situations to help you out.
Right.
And so that's just the nature of the industry. And I see a lot of my friends who didn't make it in this career, they tried to make their job fit in a box of 9 to 5.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that's just not the reality of the industry.
Right.
It's not for you. It's not for us. And
Yeah,
so,
like on the go 24/7.
oh my gosh. And I have friends who are lenders whose spouses are not supportive. And it's hard because I see the struggle that they have then. Yeah, my wife Brenna is a saint. She is incredible.
Let's say,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So
well, that's great to hear. I saw your Instagram. You were at skiing.
just a hobby. I don't do a lot for fun. I play basketball, I lift weights, and I snowboard occasionally. Once a year, I take a trip out to Colorado with some friends. So
oh wow,
it's I enjoy it.
I
but
want to go to Colorado.
Absolutely a hobby. Colorado's fun. Do you ski or snowboard?
No, I have tried once. I fall down, and then I'm like a little traumatic about
Snowboarding or skiing?
I tried both actually on the same day. On the Little Switzerland.
Which one did you enjoy more? Which one did you fall less?
I think skiing was more balanced. I think I could try skiing again compared to snowboarding.
Skiing is, in my experience, easier to learn to get to the competent point.
Okay.
It's harder to master.
Okay.
Snowboarding, it's harder to get the hang of, but you can do some crazy stuff once you get the hang of it.
Got it. Okay.
I grew up in way northern Wisconsin, so I used to ride at hills up in the UP, up in Michigan. So well, they make it really clear at the chairlift that if you go up this chairlift, it's going to be double blacks all the way down. You don't want to get on that one. So they cater to people who aren't necessarily like refined skiers.
Got it.
So you'd have a good time if you go out there.
Okay, well, I definitely have that on my bucket list. So yeah, I'm making there soon enough. Okay, do you think that real estate agent or mortgage lenders sometimes push clients into buying homes they can't afford?
I would imagine sometimes that would happen. I can't say I've ever seen it myself.
Okay.
I think if you approach it correctly with a buyer and you have a mortgage lender that approaches it correctly also, that the job of the realtor and the lender together is to help the buyer understand before they ever go on a showing what their housing payment's going to be for that house and what their cash to close is going to be.
Yep.
So there's so many different loan programs out there. I mean, you can do a zero down for conventional, you can do zero down payment FHA, you can do zero down USDA, you can do zero down VA loan.
Mm-hmm.
So for someone to underwrite themselves in a way and decide like I don't qualify,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the right approach for a buyer.
Right.
But for a lender, it's not the right approach to say this is what you should be spending.
Okay.
So the way that I've come to approach pre-approvals is I always pre-approve the buyer for the best program for them up to their maximum monthly housing payment.
Got it.
And that realtor needs to know that, because if the buyer's shopping right at the edge of what they qualify for, sometimes property taxes can absolutely make or break a purchase. You might have
Yep.
the purchase, your buying power from purchase price might vary by 20 or 30,000 just based on what the taxes are for a specific house.
Got it.
You buy a house with lower property taxes, you have 30 grand more in buying power.
Yeah.
And so if someone's right on the edge of what they qualify for, that might be the situation they're in. And so when I pre-approve them, we figure out that max, and then we give them a breakdown that lets them see pretty much exact numbers for any house as far as monthly payment goes and
Got it.
cash to close. And that
Okay.
just, it lets them be aggressive when it's time to write, because uncertainty is the biggest holdup for buyers. They might want to write an offer on a house and they might really want that house, but if they're not certain on what the numbers look like, they're not going to be able to make a confident, strong offer.
True.
And
Yep.
so getting to that first before you ever go on showing, and I shouldn't say that because you got to go on some showing, you're working internet leads, like you got to go on a couple of showings to build some rapport with them. But if they want to see, 10 houses in a weekend, that's a big investment. Like
Right.
you
Like
got to get them to invest in a pre-approval first, make sure they
Right.
qualify. So if you approach it that way, you'll never find yourself in a position where you feel like you're steering someone, because you're giving them the tools, you're giving them the answers, the numbers, and then you're helping them down the path. And
Right.
you'll connect with them and have that relationship where. So I guess I could see it happening. I've never experienced that myself though.
Got it. Question. So you mentioned there you could do zero down for a conventional loan.
Yeah.
Could you explain a little more?
Yeah.
Because to what I thought that you have to put about 20% down for conventional loans.
That's super common. A lot of people think that. Yeah.
Right.
So how does that all
that
work?
misconception. Yeah. If you could clear that air.
For sure. So there's a couple high level types of financing. Conventional financing is one option. FHA, or the Federal Housing Administration, that's another option. And then you have VA, which is a Veterans Affairs. So if you're a prior service member, you have eligibility for a VA loan.
Okay.
And then there's a few other loan programs, but in a nutshell, every loan program has a minimum required contribution.
Okay.
Or minimum contribution, we'll call it, for buyers.
Okay.
And that contribution doesn't necessarily have to come from the buyer's own funds.
Okay.
It could be a gift, it could be a grant. So when I say like the minimum down payment for a conventional loan is 3%, that's true.
Okay.
However, that 3% could come from a grant or a community second mortgage. So one of the most common programs that we use for first-time buyers is a program called WHEDA.
Yes.
WHEDA is the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority.
Okay.
They receive federal funds from the federal government to put into these affordable housing programs, and WHEDA administers that money through their own in-house loan programs.
Wow.
So it's a conventional loan,
Okay.
but WHEDA offers what's called secondary financing, community seconds. They'll do a second mortgage for a buyer to cover their down payment and their closing costs.
Got it.
And so not every buyer who we use WHEDA for needs that down payment assistance. In fact, most of them don't.
Okay.
But it's out there if someone does.
Needs it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of situations where a buyer, let's say on paper, the numbers are really tight. Well, maybe it's because their spouse owns a small business and just writes off all their expenses, like to the point where they're showing almost a loss.
Right.
In reality, that spouse could redo the accounting and they're making good money.
Right.
So the person has no problem affording the payment. But on paper, the numbers are tight.
Right.
So there's situations like that where the right loan program, it might be conventional right up to the limit. It might be they have to go FHA because they need a little more flexibility with their debt to income ratios. There's so many options, and the right answer really for that person, it's hard to give it until I actually look at their situation. But once you go through and do a full pre-approval, it's fairly easy to say, look, here's the two programs that might work. This one is head and shoulders above the next closest one, and here's why we're using that.
Got it. One of the other misconception is that what is the difference between pre-approval and a pre-qualification? Could you explain that?
Yeah, for sure. So in Wisconsin, Wisconsin doesn't differentiate legally between the two.
Okay.
So in some states, there's a legal difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qual.
Wow.
I believe Texas is one of them.
Okay.
None of the states that I'm licensed in or I'm familiar with
Mm-hmm.
have a differentiation.
Got it.
I know in Wisconsin, you're not going to get an accepted offer with a pre-qual letter.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in practice, maybe there's some banks that issue those. I wouldn't
I
see the real purpose to it.
okay.
It doesn't benefit the buyer in any way. And as
Right.
a realtor, you can't really write an offer with it because they're not pre-approved yet. A loan officer, all a pre-approval is a loan officer has reviewed someone's situation, and we're saying to the best of our knowledge that they will qualify. Now, the amount of due diligence that gets put into that
Mm-hmm.
varies dramatically.
Oh,
So there's not a standard across the board for what constitutes a pre-approval.
got it.
There are some lenders, and I won't name names on the podcast, but
Yes.
you can apply online with some nationwide lenders and you can get a pre-approval letter in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all automated. And it's just based on the numbers that you put in as the consumer, as the buyer.
Yeah.
So if you put in, I make 200 grand a year.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Here's
Okay.
your
You're
pre-approval.
right.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
It's worth exactly what they paid for, right? So
Right.
now we don't charge for a pre-approval, but when I do a pre-approval, I basically underwrite that loan.
Okay, which means that it's all good to go until
Yeah.
you write in an offer, and then once the offer is accepted, that's when you just do a final paperwork. Am I understanding it correctly?
Yeah, there's a couple levels to it. So
Okay.
if someone wants to get pre-approved,
Mhm.
like just a normal pre-approval,
Mm-hmm.
I go through and I calculate their income the same way that underwriting's going to.
Okay.
I get a bank statement to verify that their funds are usable. I mean, they're
Okay.
in the account. They've been in the account since that statement cycle started.
Mm-hmm.
If there's like, let's say they started that bank statement with $1,000 and then there's a $50,000 deposit.
Mm-hmm.
From an underwriting perspective, we have to source that money. We need to know where the 50 grand came
Came
from.
from, right?
Yep. So part of my process is I'm checking those boxes to make sure like there's not anything that's going to come up once this person gets an accepted offer and we move into underwriting.
Got it.
Now, if their
Mhm.
income is not standard income, my job is to go through and calculate what their qualifying income is going to be. That's the
Mhm.
number that we can use for underwriting their loan.
Mhm.
I calculate that the same way underwriting will.
Okay.
And so I might need their most recent pay stub. I might need their last pay stub of the prior calendar year.
Okay.
I need to see a breakdown of their different earnings, wage types.
Mhm.
And so that's what we do just for a normal pre-approval.
Got it.
We can also do a fully underwritten pre-approval,
Okay.
where if somebody is like really aggressive and they're like, I want a house in,
10 days.
yes, and they're like, I need to win the first time I write the offer.
Okay.
Well, we'll actually have an underwriter after I go through it. An
Okay.
underwriter will go through it and say, we're going to sign off ahead of time on their income, on their
Okay.
assets.
Okay.
And that's what you described, where
Ah.
everything's already done
Done.
through underwriting, and we can close in 10 days. We can
Oh.
close in 15 days.
Got
Like,
it.
it makes it a lot easier because we're teed up all the important stuff. It's already done.
Mhm.
Really, we just got to get the appraisal back
Mhm.
and get the title work back, and we're clear to close.
Got it.
So,
So, do you offer that to your clients when they come into you? That
yep.
Hey, do you want a regular pre-approval or the fully underwritten?
Yeah, it's part
Okay.
of the discussion. Not everyone can do a fully underwritten pre-approval.
Okay.
A lot of buyers, one of the things that we do when we
Mhm.
fully underwrite a pre-approval,
Mhm.
we call it our C3 guarantee.
Okay.
So it's we guarantee to the sellers
Mhm.
that if for some reason that loan doesn't close,
Mhm.
we will Provisor will either buy the house at the lower of the contract price or the appraised value,
Okay.
or we'll give the sellers $10,000 in cash.
Okay.
So we put our money where our mouth is. Like, we're not just saying we fully underwrote that loan.
But
Like,
you are
we
backing it
back it.
up.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And we take that very seriously. If somebody wants a fully underwritten pre-approval on a Saturday,
Mhm.
I have to call the guy that owns Provisor and say, hey, James, can you take a look at this? Because our underwriters aren't working today.
Yeah.
And he'll look at it and he'll say, yeah, you're good to go.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
we can do stuff like that. But we put our money where our mouth is, and we take it very seriously. Like, reputation is
Everything.
the Milwaukee market is small.
Yes.
Everyone knows everyone, and your
Yes.
reputation is your life. So
Definitely.
we take that very seriously. But not everyone can qualify. So if you have a home to sell,
Mhm.
we can't guarantee that your home sale is going to go through smoothly. So we can't fully underwrite you and give you that.
Got it.
I can still call the listing agent and explain, like, look, I've fully underwritten them,
Mhm.
but we're not going to back it with our C3 because they need the funds from their home sale.
Right.
There's gift funds is another one.
Got it.
Unless the gift funds have already been given,
Mhm.
I have no way of knowing that the gift giver is going to actually come through with the gift.
Right.
So,
Because
yeah.
50-50. Yeah.
If the
Yeah.
money isn't in the account, I can't do a fully underwritten pre-approval on a gift.
Got it.
So
Understood.
there's some situations where it's not an option. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of situations though where that is one of the factors
Mm-hmm.
that helps get the offer accepted, especially when you go into the spring market
Yeah,
and you're
it's gonna be
competing with,
crazy.
God, I had one in Greenfield 2 weeks ago, 12 offers. We won it. We only had to go 5 over list price, but 12 offers. So
Wow.
the spring market is here. Like,
Yes.
it's here.
One of the team in my office, they had a listing go live, I believe, Wednesday last week. They had an open house on Saturday, and they had 79 appointments.
Oh
Like
my
they had
God.
79 people come through, and I believe 15 offers.
It is here.
Yes, it is insane. So
Yeah.
yes, we are definitely here in the spring market.
With no inventory.
Right, exactly. Because I'm like, I want to do open houses. Is there anybody who wants open house? Nobody's responding to me. So yes, the inventory is very less.
Keep hustling. They'll come.
Yeah, definitely. One of the other hurdles I have seen as a realtor is that people are really hard to convince for a pre-approval. What are your tricks, or what can I do to have them convinced?
It's a really good question.
Yes.
So in my experience, I would step back
Yeah.
and change your mindset around it.
Okay.
You shouldn't have to convince them.
Okay.
You should have enough trust that when you explain the purpose of getting pre-approved, that they will want to.
Okay. Understood.
So educate them around what a pre-approval is.
They are looking, like they are on Zillow browsing, and what I send
Do you have them
and
on an
they're
MLS
looking.
search?
I do.
Okay, so you have them on a search. Have you
Yes.
gone on a showing with them?
No, because they're not coming. I tell them.
There are some people that they'll get to that point and
Okay.
they need to get out and see some houses.
Yeah.
Because there's something inside of them that's holding them up.
Got it.
And what, in my experience,
Mm-hmm.
it's a fine line for a realtor to walk, but this is where the money is made.
Yeah.
When you can figure out how to get them on a showing and build just a little deeper of a relationship, a little more trust, and they find the house that they want, you're going to have a lender partner who can do the pre-approval on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Because that's what that person is going to need.
Right.
And so when you sense that they're apprehensive about it, what you can do is you can say, look, we'll do it. I'll do 1 showing, 2 showings with you. I'm not going to invest a ton of time until I know you qualify.
Right.
And really for your benefit, the purpose of getting pre-approved is so that you know what the numbers look like.
Yeah.
If you want to get some rough numbers though, my guy will put together a breakdown for you for the house we're going to see. And then we'll just make some educated guesses about the credit score, down payment, all that stuff.
Okay.
And what that'll let you do, it takes me 5 minutes to put it together.
Okay.
But it lets you give them
a
very, you give them a taste of what they're going to get when they get pre-approved.
Yeah.
And they're going to look at that and they're going to be like, oh, this is helpful.
Yeah.
And then when they find the right house, they're not going to have the same hesitation that they currently have.
Okay.
And some of them, they just have to wait till they're ready to write an offer.
Okay.
There's no way around it. So in my experience, if you're trying to hammer a square peg into a round hole, it isn't going to work. It's not going to be fun, and you're probably going to lose them. Okay. So let them be their apprehensive selves. You just got to balance how much time are you willing to invest with that person. Now, if it's your husband's colleague, friend, and you know they're going to use you, maybe you err a little more on the side of, I'll show you as much as you want because I know you qualify. I know you have good credit. I know you have good income. Okay. If you're working Realtor.com leads, maybe it's a little different. You might show them one place and then they need to get pre-approved.
Right.
So that's a balance. I don't know if there's an exact answer for every situation, but that's the approach that I've seen agents take that works fairly well. You kind of got to meet the person where they're at. If they're not willing, you'll still give them the numbers, and any good lender should be able to put together a rough breakdown.
But
it sounds like though you've shifted your mindset.
Yes.
They haven't yet.
Yes.
So you got to like back up to where they're at. Okay. Just be there with them in that uncertainty, that hesitation, that fear, whatever it is whatever it is that you knew when you were there. Be there with them in that. Okay. Go on the showing. Okay. And then we'll send them a breakdown, show them all the numbers. Yeah. They don't need. There's no commitment. They don't. They don't even have to send anything. Right. Like I just need a property address, estimated credit score, estimated down payment. Okay. And shoot, I can do a breakdown that shows 5, 10, 20% down. So they can see all 3 options. Okay. And then they've got something. Got it. And then once you give them as much as you can. Okay. Give away the business. And then once they get to the point where it's like either they want to write an offer or you're drawing the line in the sand, like I'm not going to do any more showings until you're pre-approved because I have to know you qualify. When you get to that point, then you got to make the decision of what are you going to do. But I give them as much as you can.
Can you explain a little bit that why the pre-approval is important
Yeah.
for this home buying process?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's the biggest purchase of your life, and you need to know what your monthly payment is and how much cash you need to close.
Right. It's like you are going for shopping and you don't know how much you even have in your bank
Well, you know
account.
people
But
that go shopping and they just have their credit card and they swipe it till it gets declined, right?
right, but you don't have credit card for a home purchase.
Don't do that with your house.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are beyond qualified and they know it, and they don't. There's not really that much of a benefit to that person.
Right.
Those people are few and far between. They're the ones that can pay cash for the house.
Okay.
If you need to take a loan to buy a home, you should figure out what those numbers look like.
Right.
And it's easy to do. All the pre-approval is when you apply online, you're taking 15 minutes. You put all your information in one spot. That allows your loan officer to just review it, look at your credit, run the numbers, and then send you the pre-approval letter.
It's that quick.
That's all there is to it. There's really nothing to it. It doesn't even, we pay for the credit inquiry. It costs us $80 to pull your credit.
And it's free for the customers, correct?
100%.
Yeah.
And there's no commitment or anything.
Exactly.
We're just reviewing that you qualify, and when we pre-approve you, that letter then tells the sellers, it tells your agent and the listing agent that we believe you qualify for a loan.
And then how long are typical pre-approval for? Like a couple months, 6 months?
Very good question. So the only thing that expires with a pre-approval, your credit scores are valid for 120 days.
Okay.
So your credit scores, if we don't close on the 120th day after we pulled your credit, I just have to re-pull your scores prior to closing.
Okay.
And so what I always tell buyers is, I'm not necessarily going to re-pull your credit every 120 days.
Right.
If you're in the market and you're looking and 6 months goes by and you're still looking and you haven't changed jobs, you haven't bought anything new on your credit scores are still good, I don't need to do a hard inquiry then to refresh your pre-approval.
That's good to know.
We can do a soft pull or something. So
okay.
We're not going to ding your credit every 3 months.
Okay.
Now, if you're right on the fence, like your credit's kind of not in the best place, we're working on it, we're helping you rebuild your scores. In that case, I might have to re-pull your scores every 120 days.
Right.
But,
to see how much it has grown.
Because if it went down and you don't qualify, the last thing that I want as a lender is I don't want a seller making a commitment to you saying, I'm going to sell you my house. I'm going to take it off the market. I'm going to destage it. I'm going to say no to all these other offers. And then you get to underwriting and we re-pull your credit and you don't qualify.
Right.
That's if that is the whole thing you want to avoid as a loan officer. Your job is to help get all the ducks in a row so that when the accepted offer happens, it's a smooth path to closing and there are no surprises for anybody involved.
Right.
That's my goal.
Got it.
So I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on the situation a little bit, but a pre-approval generally takes you 15 minutes to apply. I might need a couple of pay stubs and a bank statement or two, and that's usually about it.
What do you think that younger generations like Millennial and Gen Zs are at a disadvantage when buying homes because of systematic issues, or are their spending priorities part of the problem?
I'd say both.
Okay.
I think spending priorities it's good to view things from a high level.
Okay.
It's also really good to view things from a very up close level.
Okay.
And so spending problems are an individual.
I have a little bit spending problem.
I think everyone has. Everyone can relate. So
yes.
If you have a spending, my background, I managed a bank branch for University of Wisconsin Credit Union.
Oh, wow.
And I was in that for about 10 years.
Very well.
Part of what we did was on college campuses, we provided education to students about budgeting, managing their money. So that's a topic that is very dear to me because I saw the impact of good financial decisions in college playing out in someone's early years of their life once they graduate.
Okay.
And so taking the time to educate people around what makes sense financially, it's just kind of built in. I enjoy it. I see the value in it.
Right.
On a higher level, in the market we're in now, we have very limited inventory.
Yes.
That probably isn't going to change anytime soon.
Okay.
So people who are first-time buyers and their incomes aren't huge, they are at a disadvantage because there's competition. Is that different than generations prior? Maybe not. I don't know. The reality is there are going to be people who find a way to succeed. There's going to be people that find a way to get in the home. And my job is to be there when that person is motivated.
Got it.
So the customer who's like, I'm not really ready to get pre-approved yet. Like, I'm here for you, right? I'm here when you're ready.
Yes. Yes.
And so I'm going to put my energy into the people that
are ready.
they're ready.
Yes.
Exactly. And
Got
so I think there are definite there are a lot of forces at work that are working to improve the lives of people that don't easily qualify for homeownership. The grant programs that we have available for first-time buyers are incredible. The ability to afford a home that you wouldn't otherwise afford through federal subsidies, reduced interest rates, closing cost credits,
Yeah.
even just structuring a loan and a purchase in a way where we're using all the tools at our disposal, like a seller credit to reduce the cash to close.
Right.
There's a lot of things out there to help the individual. And I think that me doing that on an individual basis is as close as I'm going to get to doing my part to better the big picture as a whole.
Correct.
But yeah, there's
Yes.
definitely bigger picture issues that make it a challenge for certain subsets of our population, whether it's millennials. I'm a millennial. I'm 34.
Okay.
So I bought my first house. I was 19.
Oh my God, I bought my first house when I was 21.
Did you really?
I did, yes.
Homeownership. And how has it played out for you though?
Very well.
Oh my gosh.
I
Mine will be
love
paid
my
off in
decision.
2 years and it's like best investment ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So,
really incredible.
yeah, definitely. And that's what we want to highlight, that it's really important, even if you educate yourself. Am I correct? Just becoming homeowner, how different it is from renting in
Yeah.
this
When the
world.
toilet plugs up, you can't call your landlord.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
So I know you mentioned that the inventory being less and people who don't have really high salaries, it's hard for them to compete in this market.
Yep.
What are some quick tips would you recommend for them so they're ready and not lag behind because of the competition?
I would say figure out the number side of it first, because a lot of people, they tell themselves a story about what they qualify for before they ever talk to a loan officer.
Right.
And they're doing themselves a disservice. They're
For
trying
sure.
to underwrite the loan themselves. Like, I can't tell you how many people come to me and say,
I'm like, if we could just underwrite it
oh
ourselves,
my
why
gosh,
do we need you or other lending?
I wouldn't have a job.
Right.
So it's the ability to go through someone's financial situation relatively. Most pre-approvals we turn around same day.
Yeah.
So if they upload all the documents right away, we'll have it pre-approved same day. If we have to ask them for documents, maybe they send us the docs that night. We do it in the morning. It's a quick process. There's really nothing to it. And we make it as efficient as possible. We're only asking for the bare minimum of paperwork needed, because we don't want someone getting their 2 years tax returns. The only time I need 2 years tax returns is pretty much if you're self-employed. There's some situations like if we're using trust income, but in general, for a buyer who works for a company and gets paid a W-2 wage, I don't ever need your tax returns.
Right.
So I mean, maybe like WIDA requires but I don't need them for the pre-approval usually.
Got it. So the key here is pre-approval.
Pre-approval.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Very well.
Figure out where you're working, where you're at, and then go from there. Don't decide where you're at without talking to someone.
Exactly.
In the industry.
What's the best piece of advice you'd give your younger self about life or work?
Bet on myself sooner in life. I worked for, and don't get me wrong, I loved working for UW Credit Union. I really enjoyed my time there. I had a good time, and it's really what springboarded me into my career as a mortgage lender.
Got it.
I wish I would have made the jump sooner. I knew that I could do it, but I didn't believe in myself enough to take that leap.
Okay.
And what actually prompted me to take that leap is my wife was expecting our first child.
Yeah.
And 3 months before she was due, I just had this epiphany that I realized, like, if I don't do this now, I'm going to be a branch manager at a bank for the rest of my life. And that was the most depressing thing ever. Not because I didn't necessarily like the job, but I like growth and change. And there's very limited growth and change in retail banking just by nature of that industry.
Yeah.
Like, you might have 30 branches and then one director level above those 30 branches.
Yeah.
And so you're competing for one spot out of 30.
Yeah.
And a lot of those 30 are career branch managers. So it's a really tough industry to climb the ladder in.
For sure.
And I just realized I need to make this change. And if I had made that mindset shift earlier in my life, that's one thing that I wish I could go back. I don't want to say go back and change, but I wish that I would have believed about myself sooner.
Got it.
And so the advice I would give to anyone in their career is believe in yourself. Be realistic, but believe in yourself and be willing to take risks that leverage you.
Yep.
Hands down.
What is the most rewarding part of your job as a mortgage lender?
seeing the tears in the eyes of people at closing when they never thought they could buy a house.
Yeah.
I have two that come to mind that they were convinced they could never become homeowners. And when they got the keys at closing, they gave me a hug with tears in their eyes.
Yes.
And there's nothing like it.
Definitely.
There's nothing like that.
Yeah. How do you, as a lender, collaborate with realtors like me to make the home buying process smoother?
The first thing, honestly, is availability. The best ability is availability, because when you're working, you might need an answer in that moment. And I can't respond 24/7 because I have kids. I take them in the swimming pool. I don't have my phone on me. So
Agreed.
there's periods of time, but I shoot for always being able to return a message within an hour. That's my goal.
Okay.
And for pre-approvals, we can do pre-approvals same day. So being available to meet the need of the business and your business, that's the most important thing. The second most important thing is to make it easy and smooth for your buyers, because like you've experienced, not everyone's ready.
Yes.
And they need it to feel easy and smooth. If it's like I'm going to see a house and then I need to send in 2 years tax returns, 4 bank statements, 12 pay stubs, like that's daunting.
Yeah.
If I talk to them on the phone and I say, yeah, the pre-approval just gets all your info in one spot. Don't worry about messing it up. You really can't. I can change anything you put in there. And let's just talk through your situation now, and I'll tell you the few documents I need. We talk through it, and I say, all right, I just need 1 pay stub and 1 bank statement.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
You
That's
make it
easy.
You try to make it easy. And
yeah.
It really is easy. It doesn't have to be hard.
Exactly.
It's just the bare minimum paperwork to ensure that I've done my job well. Like just to dive into this a little bit, like what does a W-2 tell you? It tells you the total earnings from someone from that calendar year.
Yes.
As a lender, is that important to me if they're paid hourly and they receive overtime and a bonus?
Yes.
Do I care about the W-2? No, I don't, because it lumps all of those wages together.
Okay.
So it tells me nothing.
Okay.
I need to know how much of that number on the W-2 was your base wage, your overtime, and your bonus.
Okay.
Where do I get that? Your pay stub.
Got it.
So
okay.
Most often, I'll just ask for your most recent pay stub, because I need to see that your year-to-date earnings line up with whatever your wage is.
Yep.
Because that's something underwriting will do. They'll calculate your income over time, and they'll say, all right, you're paid $5,000 a month. We're 6 months in. You've only made $20,000. Why? Did you take unpaid time off? So we have to answer those questions.
Okay.
I need to know that before I pre-approve you.
Got it.
So that pay stub tells me everything. Your year-end pay stub from last year is going to show me your base versus your overtime versus your bonus.
Got it.
Those numbers get averaged. And the time period it gets averaged varies based on loan type, what kind of job you're in. But when you get into the details, the reality is I don't need your tax returns. I don't need your W-2s.
Right.
I just need a pay stub with that data on it.
Okay.
That's what lets me do my job.
And that's easy enough.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
So I make it as easy as possible. That's my philosophy. So
I love that. Yeah.
those are probably the 2 biggest things that I consciously have structured our flow around to make it help realtors get accepted offers.
Yes.
Another big one that I see is, and I do this on every pre-approval, I will call the listing agent and explain to them why they should accept our offer. I'll let them know how qualified your buyers are.
And what time of the process do you do that? Like once we write in the offer?
I don't do it with your permission. I need your permission, because at the end of the day, you're representing the buyer.
Right.
I'm providing the financing. I'll do everything I can to help, but I'm not going to do something that you don't think would be helpful also.
Got it.
So most buyer's agents, though, they understand the value. Like if you're a listing agent,
it is huge.
Oh my God, you're gonna call on a Sunday afternoon from the lender just saying they're rock solid, like they're good to go. I verified everything. Like you're at the top of the list.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
So
that just quick call makes a huge difference.
And I have a text template. I'll call.
Yeah.
If I get a voicemail, and even if I don't, I still follow up via text. And it's basically the same thing. I'll customize it to that client, but it's like, look, the buyers gave me permission to talk to you. If you have any questions, please reach out.
Yeah.
They're very well qualified.
Yeah. So that's a huge bonus right there. Yeah.
I think it is. It absolutely makes a difference. And I have seen, and I've heard from listing agents over and over, like, that was so nice you called. Like, so nice you called.
Like that call also makes a huge part of that decision. Maybe they were thinking some other offer, but while they were thinking about the other offer, you just made that call, and now your offer is on the top of the list.
Oh my God, it absolutely helps.
Yeah,
so
if
your lender's not doing that, you need to talk to them and tell them to start doing it. And there's no reason they shouldn't be willing to do that.
Right. Thank you.
For sure.
What's one thing you wish more realtors knew about the mortgage process?
That's a good question. I think the value of time, and most realtors know this, but they run into the same problem that you have with your husband's coworkers,
Yeah.
where they want to buy a house,
Yes.
but there's something holding them back from getting pre-approved. There's not many problems that I can't solve regarding getting someone pre-approved if I have enough time.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Saturday night and the offers are due Saturday night and there's something with your credit or something with your income that I can't solve,
Yeah.
we don't have enough time to fix it.
Right.
If you apply 2 weeks before you're even going to go on a showing,
Mm-hmm.
now we have time.
Yes.
The tools that I have to adjust credit scores, we can do what's called a rapid rescore with the credit bureaus. This is something that's unique to mortgage lenders.
Okay.
We can adjust a buyer's credit score based on making changes to their credit profile. So for example,
Wow.
let's say they have a medical collection.
Okay.
We can pay off that medical collection, submit directly to the credit bureaus through our credit vendor, the paid receipt.
Okay.
They will remove that medical collection from their credit report completely, as if it never existed.
Wow.
And their score immediately adjusts to where it would be without that medical collection.
Question. So when you say you pay off the medical collection, is that converted as a loan to the buyer? How are you paying it off?
Well, we wouldn't pay it off. The buyer would pay it off.
Okay.
So let's say they
you advise the buyer to
Yeah.
pay off a medical collection to
Yep.
adjust that credit score. Got it.
And medical collection is one example of something that maybe we need to adjust to get their score to the point where they qualify.
Mm-hmm.
I did this actually on it was actually with your coworker, I believe.
Oh.
We had a buyer
Okay.
who was trying to get pre-approved to buy a home. They had a home to sell.
Okay.
Pulled their credit. He's like, oh, credit's fine.
Okay.
Credit came in at like 602.
Okay.
He had a really thin credit file, not a lot of credit history. Because he made so much money, he just paid cash for everything.
Okay.
So he had a late payment on a credit card.
Okay.
It was like a $30 late payment.
But it affects us so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it was showing up as a late pay, a charge off. No, it was a late pay and a collection. So it was a collection for like $35 or something.
Okay.
So we submitted to the credit bureau zero. He's like, I paid it late. It's all taken care of. So we submitted basically his most recent statement showing the zero balance that it was paid.
Mm-hmm.
The credit bureau immediately removed it. This was on a weekend. By noon on Monday,
Okay.
we had to score from a 605 or whatever up to like a 670. I was able to pre-approve him because the minimum credit score on conventional is 620. And so in that case, thankfully, the sellers weren't making a decision that weekend. But that's a good example of you don't know what might be out there. And if you're not, until you get pre-approved, you really don't know. So.
And that is a really good point that you told about this credit bump thing. Like I personally didn't even know that it existed. So it's really good to know that even if somebody has a little bit of credit issue, it could be fixed in a couple days.
If you're a buyer, do not try to underwrite your loan yourself.
Please.
Do not try to be a loan officer. Don't try to be an underwriter. Talk to an expert who has a good reputation. It doesn't have to be me, but you can Google any loan officer that you get referred to and you can see what are they about? What are their reviews like? Do they have a social media presence? And call them and talk to them and see how you feel.
Yeah.
Like if you call them and they're not good on the phone, like, are you really going to want to be calling them when on a Friday night when you have a problem with your offer? And let's say there's issues with the septic and you got to try to do an escrow holdback. Like you need to find someone that you mesh with, that you connect with. So do your homework and figure out, is this person someone I really want to trust?
Right.
And then trust them and work with them and they'll help you. That's our job.
Yep. And please don't wait last minute.
Don't wait.
Yep.
Don't wait. You're only hurting yourself.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Sooner the better.
Yep. What books, tools, or resources would you recommend to someone learning about mortgages for the first time?
As a buyer?
Yes.
Honestly, just talk to a good loan officer.
Okay.
There's nothing that you're going
to
read. Call Ben.
Yes.
Call me. There's nothing that you're going to read on the internet that's going to put you in a better position than having a good conversation with a good loan officer, because the reality is mortgage underwriting guidelines change regularly.
Yes, very often.
Very often.
Yeah.
And it's important to talk to someone who's up to date on those changes.
Mm-hmm.
I get an email from all of the underwriting, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA. When they make a change to their guidelines, they notify us.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important part of our job.
Yeah.
Being aware of what those changes are and understanding how those changes are going to affect buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Most common one, a big one recently, FHA just changed their gift funds guidelines. We no longer have to verify gift funds with a bank statement from the gift donor. That was a huge change.
Right.
And that makes my job a hell of a lot easier. So for me to to just have that knowledge when I'm talking to a client on the phone and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I need I'm going to need somewhat of a gift. Like in the past, I had to get a bank statement from their
To
grandma,
see that,
and
yeah.
their grandma's like, how do I send a bank statement? Because she has a paper statement at home and she doesn't have a smartphone.
Right,
So how do you get a copy of that?
right.
Well, now I don't need that. I can just say, oh, it's from grandma. No problem. Here's your pre-approval.
Got it.
So
That's a huge,
yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
What's the best advice you have ever received in your career as a mortgage lender?
I don't know. The best ever?
Yeah. Or let's say
I think
top.
it's, okay, best advice ever.
Yeah.
I reserve the right to change this, but the answer is always more leads.
Okay.
So it's the same for you.
Yes.
When you have a problem and somebody doesn't want to get pre-approved, the answer is more leads.
Yes.
Because the nature of our industry, we're going out and getting the business.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've seen happen, and I've experienced this myself, is if you pigeonhole yourself into one deal or one client or one referral partner, you're turning off the vision to the other opportunities that exist.
Mm-hmm.
And you have so many more opportunities in your life
For sure.
than you're aware of.
Yep.
So, and it's the same for not just realtors and loan officers. If you can open up your mind, open up your eyes, see what is out there, and be open to it, have an open mind, have an open heart.
That's all you need.
That's
Yeah.
all you need.
Yeah. Agreed. I know you mentioned that you went from a 9 to 5 job to a 24/7.
Yeah.
Being a mortgage lender.
Yep.
How has that changed your life? Like,
I like it. A lot of the common theme is it's hard to do. That's what I hear most often is most people can't do it. And I have a hard time understanding that because to me, it feels much more natural. I just accept it for what it is. I'm not going to try to compartmentalize work into a box of 9 to 5. The flip side is I can go on vacation whenever I want. Granted, I'm still working when I'm on vacation.
There you
but
go.
maybe I work a little less
Yeah.
when I'm on vacation. My gym time is usually over lunch because if I get busy, like during the summer, I'll get busy in the afternoon.
Very
Hey,
busy.
we're going on a showing. We need this pre-approval. This client just called me off of Zillow, and so that my day, the flow of my day, is not a standard day.
Right.
But I like it.
Yeah.
It works well for me.
It's like I don't know what is in us. We just want to go, go, go. Like we don't want to stop.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And I don't like being tied down to a desk either. I mean, the sitting in a cubicle is like as close to hell on earth as I think I can get.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there.
Nobody wants to go.
Nobody wants to go there.
Definitely. How can a potential home buyer or investor get in touch with you to learn more about your services?
Honestly, just give me a call. I only have one phone number, so
okay. And where can we find your phone number?
I'll tell you.
Okay, go ahead and tell our audience.
414-909-8383. And that's my cell. Comes directly to me. It's the phone on my nightstand that vibrates at 10:30 at night when you text me. It's the only number I've got.
Please don't text him at 3 a.m.
You can text me whenever you want. I put it on silent when I sleep. So its availability, honestly, is the best ability, and it's required in this industry. So for better or worse, it is what it is. And the best place to start is always a conversation.
Definitely.
If somebody's curious, just give a call. We'll talk through your situation.
Yeah, it's not a commitment.
Oh God, I'm a no pressure guy.
Just call Ben, he'll talk to you, and we can.
I get calls. I probably get 10 to 15 calls a day of just random questions. And it can be a realtor asking about a property, whether the property will qualify for a certain loan program. I get calls from buyers like, hey, here's my situation. Should I wait until my divorce is finalized or should I get pre-approved now? Like, literally everything.
Yeah.
And if I don't know the answer, I can easily find out. I have a lot of resources. And if I'm not the best fit for someone, I'll be the first to tell them that.
Yeah.
There are some loans that I'm not the best fit for. And I have referral partners that I will refer business to that I know will do a good job for that buyer in that situation.
That's so nice of you, yeah.
Well, my goal is to be the first call.
Right.
And if I want to be the first call, part of my commitment to everyone that I work with needs to be like, I'm going to be as helpful as I can.
Yeah, ready
even
with
if
the
it's not my business. Yeah. So I can't just say, no, I can't help you.
Right.
It's like the best, I can't help you. And here's the person who can. I'd recommend you give them a call and, here's their number.
Got it. So what tips do you have for younger entrepreneurs like me?
That's another really good question. Don't give up.
Okay.
Seriously, you hear people say that, and the reality is the amount of people that could be successful but aren't because they give up is astronomical. Like when you fail, you just found out one way that it doesn't work.
Right.
And you're closer to a way that does.
Got it.
So if you can see the journey for what it is,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a destination.
Right.
It's never a destination. You
It's
talk to the top producers, and you get to a really top producer level. I work with realtors that do 30, 35 million a year in real estate.
oh wow.
And when you get to that level,
Mm-hmm.
it's your life.
Right.
Not everyone wants to be at that level. Some people are happy doing 10 million and they don't want to work more than that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. But
Mm-hmm.
to get to any of those levels, it's embracing the journey and the things that get you there.
Yeah.
And you don't know yet what gets you there. So
Right.
you just got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And not give up.
Yeah.
And then you'll get there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that advice. And any last tip for anyone looking to start their home ownership journey?
Start sooner than later, because honestly, you don't know what's on your credit. You think you do, you don't.
But you don't.
Sooner than later. It's not scary, and honestly, a quick phone call is the best way to get answers to any of your questions. I wouldn't. You can find a lot of good information online. The reality is that information could be outdated. So doing
Yeah.
your homework is good. Talking to an expert, there's no substitute for it, and that's what I'm here for.
And it's for free. Please.
It's free.
Yes. So call them. I think
Awesome.
that's the end of it.
Well, thank you.
Yes, of course. Yes. Thank you for doing this. I really love it.
This is fantastic.
Really?
Did you just like decide like I'm gonna
Yeah,
start doing
I
social
literally,
media?
run a photo booth company.
Okay. Everyone loves photo booths.
Well, if you have any birthday party, any celebrations coming
Uh-huh.
up, or if you can spread my word, that'll be great. It's called Snapsiaga Photo Booth. We are in Illinois, we are here in Wisconsin, we are in Ohio, and we are in Indiana.
Wow.
So if you
Big.
have friends, family, anywhere, yes, we have been running that business for 4 years now.
Nice.
So that's that. I'm an Airbnb superhost, meaning
You're busy.
Yes, yes.
Where are your short-term rentals?
In Hartford.
Okay.
With just one property, but it's 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. So that's going really good.
You get like for the golf in Erin Hills.
And guess what? This May, they're having an Olympic golf competition happening in the Erin
Hills.
Yes, my whole house is booked for that month.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like making 15 grand that month
Yeah.
just from that Airbnb.
Yeah,
So that's insane.
You think of Hartford, it's kind of like this like secluded
Yeah,
area,
who's
but it's
gonna
like
come to Hartford?
yeah,
Like,
well,
and
plenty of people.
yes, so that's happening, and I'm really excited for it. And we are also finishing our basement, so we are gonna have like a whole new listing for that and
Nice.
more occupancy for that. So that's that.
I got my pilot's license in Hartford.
What lessons?
Pilots,
Pilot?
fly airplane.
Oh wow, okay.
So that little airport just north of town.
Yes.
Yep.
How
So,
often are you there?
well, my airplane is there right now because it's sitting in the shop.
Very
so
cool.
My mechanic has a
Can we
hangar
fly
there.
with you?
Oh yeah, I take you guys flying.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you're interested, you're like, I want to go for a flight.
My husband
Absolutely.
has done few lessons of learning pilot.
Really?
Yes.
Where at? Around here?
In Milwaukee. We used to live in
Spring City?
I'm not sure exactly where.
What airport? Timmerman?
Oh no, sorry. I'm terrible with
I'll ask
keeping
him.
information.
I'll have to meet him.
Yes, definitely. But I can connect you guys. Anyway, so he has done that, and I have been in a plane a couple times. So,
Okay.
but if you're there and if it's summer, we're having fun, we're hanging out, having any drinks, would love to go out with you.
That would be a blast.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, if he's interested, I mean, even if he just wants to go for a ride, or you want to go for a ride.
Yes,
like,
love that.
Not
in Winter though.
Do you live in Hartford?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's the same property I live in.
Got it.
Yeah, and we started to rent it out and do the short-term rental, and now it's.
How is it set up? Like like accessory dwelling unit for you guys to have, and then you rent out the main quarters, or?
So that's how we started. It's 4-bedroom. We stay in 1 bedroom.
Oh, you just rent out the rooms.
Yes, that's how we started. But now we rent out the whole house with the 4 bedrooms, and during that we just go on our vacation. So like, let's say in May, how it's booked out.
Yeah, you take a
we'll
month to go.
Yes, or at the same
That's
time,
super cool.
we have goals that we are looking forward to achieve. If that happens, we'll end up buying another property soon.
Awesome.
So hopefully.
What does your husband do?
He's a engineer at Milwaukee Tool here in Brooklyn.
Milwaukee Tool.
Yeah.
I do a lot of loans for Milwaukee Tool engineers.
Oh wow. Okay.
So one of my good realtors, you might know her. She's Shore West, Kelsey Gasteiner.
I heard the name.
She's big on social media. So
oh wow.
I'm sure you've seen her socials. So Kelsey, her husband is a engineering manager at Milwaukee Tool.
Okay.
And so Kelsey gets a lot of the referral business when they hire engineers and relocate them.
Okay.
And so a lot of that business.
I gotta tell my husband. Can you get me in touch?
If you can find, and there's so many engineers that relocate.
Oh wow.
If you can find a way to get in, even if it's with one referral partner.
Right. It's huge. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you get 3-4 deals a year out of it. Like.
Oh wow. Okay.
Even if you get that, you might get more. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But relocations is huge.
Got
and
it.
I think a lot of agents will get like certified as relocation.
Mhm.
There's like an
A
acronym.
task, not a task. I'm sorry. Course.
Something. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
you probably learn something.
Yeah.
You can also just talk to someone who does relocation loans all the time,
Okay.
and I'll tell you how it works.
Got it. Okay.
But
Yeah.
having the acronym, some people like that. Some people like the little letters after.
For sure. Got it. Well, very well. Do you have any questions for me?
No, thanks for having me. I really
Yes.
appreciate
No.
it.
Thank you
What's
for
your plan?
doing
Like,
this.
when are you going to put it together and publish it?
Most likely within 2 days.
Oh God, you got this figured out.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks for
Yes.
including me.
Of course. What tips do you have for me to keep doing this? Like anything I could do differently in any way? As this is my first time doing
this is
it.
really good.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think picking the right people is huge. I hope you felt like I was a good fit.
Definitely, you were. I love it, and I love the energy that you hit back at me. That yeah, let's do it, Krina.
It's really interesting because
But
I don't know, like opportunity just presents itself in life. Like you got to take it.
yeah,
Like, it's I guess it's the same thing as like you can call back during business hours to get your pre-approval done. Like that's not the way my brain works. I'm
Right.
like, Krina's doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Let's go Wednesday afternoon.
I love that. Thank you. That
No,
it was amazing.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I
My office
appreciate
is
it.
like a minute down the road.
Okay.
And I'm there every day because Mary started right before Thanksgiving. So she's my full-time assistant on the front end. I have 2 assistants that help once we're under contract.
Okay.
Like with the title work, homeowners
Mhm,
insurance, all the
mhm.
busy work. Up until hiring Mary, I was completely solo on the front end. So
Mhm.
up until the point where we're under contract and I have all the paperwork needed for initial underwriting review,
Mhm.
that was all on my shoulders.
Oh boy.
So it got to a lot. Like there were in last September, October, I closed 23 loans in 2024.
Wow.
That was my highest month. But closing 24 loans in a month is a lot of freaking work. And
Yes.
I'm doing that on top of being a dad, on trying to work out, on top of, I mean, everything.
Yes.
Like, and chasing new business.